In preparation for Prey, I decided to rewatch all Predator entries, and instead of just reviewing the new film, I thought it would be a good idea to put together a ranking video. So without further ado, let's kick things out with number 5. The Predator from 2018. In an attempt to embellish this franchise, it ends up relying too much on high-tech and over-the-top action scenes that, while entertaining, don't click at all with what you would expect from its title, bringing up off-putting elements that damage the film rather than enriching its storytelling, leaving an abrasive final product that avoids itself from any aspect that makes a good Predator movie. Coming up in number 4, Predators from 2010. Despite the negative boat this movie navigates the sea on, I found myself enjoying it even more on the second view. It has great production design in general, especially the costumes for the Predators, and there's nothing crazy about the cinematography, but it's overall solid taking into consideration the setting the characters are in. What shines here are the concepts that they bring to the Predators, such as showcasing conflict within their own kind, plus the situation itself, which is thrilling. The idea of a group of people seemingly stranded in an unknown environment, having to survive where there are predators set to hunt them, gets me on the edge of my seat, if well implemented with mystifying elements that pull my attention to its incognito factor. This is completely bypassed along with the convoluted character writing, both being my biggest complaints with this movie. I'd rather know nothing at all than have one scene throwing at me the meaning of their arrival on this outlandish planet. I'd prefer that they would just mention a brief glance at their past so I could figure it out myself, especially after knowing that the title Predators has a double meaning, showcasing that the people being hunted are also hunters of some kind or possess really dark backstories. But this subject is never fleshed out naturally because the movie seems to be worried that people don't get it. It's not like it explains why they're there, but it forces some exposition into the viewer by dialogue with the intent of being self-explanatory and less enigmatic. In number 3, Prey from 2022. After all these years we finally get a new Predator movie, and as fuel to my happiness this one is almost perfect. Prey lives up to its premise, making good use of the Predator elements that we know and love, keeping the mystery behind what the character is and also showcasing its nature and motivation through his actions. You can tell he's still a naive predator driven by impulse. Underestimating Naro in the final battle is the perfect example of that. Being aggressive instead of calculated, boldly showing himself to the characters' faces and just decimating each of his victims without the need of his invisible abilities. Regarding cinematography, it has astonishing visuals. Love the eerie mountain shots because you know something in those is coming near you to hunt, crafting an atmosphere in a few scenes that is just perfect for this type of film. The Predator costume is top notch and the practical effects on it are just jaw-dropping. I had a few gripes with some of the CGI and green screens, but wasn't something that took me out of the film. Another nitpick that I have here that unfortunately I couldn't ignore is the English language over the Comanche. I know you can choose the dubbed version, but quite honestly it's not the same thing. I mean, the French group still talks in French, so wouldn't hurt to have only the original, and it would have added a lot to characterization. Regardless, this one is a huge surprise from this year, and I hope it becomes the blueprint for future ideas. Now, in number 2, Predator 2. The reason why I put this in second place is that to me, it is unapologetically self-aware of what it is, never afraid of being cheesy and over the top, while also having some seriously gruesome Predator scenes. Love the introductory scene, the cops investigating these odd murders, the third act itself leading to the scene with the altar revealing the xenomorph skull, and the final confrontation ending with lots of predators showing up, therefore the leader giving a weapon that traces back to the 70s as a trophy to the main character, the same weapon that we actually see in Prey, a sign of respect for killing one of their kind, which is such a terrific scene in a movie that surely gives flavor to a fine cheesecake. Now my favorite one, The Predator from 87. Arnold Schwarzenegger shirtless covered in mud. That's it. That's the reason. Tier 1. Jokes aside, for those complaining about the cheesiness in Predator 2, surely didn't think about the iconic handshake and other elements this one has. But what sticks with me the most is how ironic it gets once you realize that it basically demoralizes these characters physically. It's the inherent critique on how irrelevant it is if you have a lot of muscles and the numbers if lost in the middle of the jungle against a primal being that has the IQ and tech power. The chances are that you can underestimate your opponent and end up outplayed and ripped apart. Everything about this movie is just entertaining, and I can't find an aspect that I dislike about it. As for Alien vs Predator and its sequel, I did appreciate the first film and the simple execution of its characters. It's an enjoyable flick that has its flaws, but I don't find it to be a bad movie. Can't say the same about its sequel though. AVPR feels like someone just got drunk and lowered the brightness to the bone, which is a shame because the practical suits look really cool. At least they're silhouettes in the rain. But Jesus, I don't understand why this film was so dark. And at this point you should realize that I'm not talking about the tone and story, because the story itself makes me wish it was pitch black or didn't exist at all. And that's it for today, folks. What are your thoughts on this ranking? And what's your favorite Predator movie? Let me know. Also, if you enjoyed this video, check out my channel and consider subscribing for more content like this. See ya.